Good afternoon. I'm taking a quick lunch break to jump on and chat with you about a really great opportunity that we really haven't talked too much about, which is pharmacy compliance consulting. So I'm going to give you guys some time for those who were super interested to join in. And if you are here, let me know who you are and where you're from. I'm going to turn on the comments really quick. So thanks for joining. I know everyone's pretty busy. I know my schedule is jam packed today, but I got such a huge response from the email that I sent out on Monday that I was like, we have to have a conversation about this because the more that I just kind of dug deeper into some market research and had some conversations, I don't want you all to miss out on an amazing opportunity to help these independent pharmacies. So if you're here, let me know that you are here. What I'll do is I'm going to share some information about the opportunity, especially for those of you who have experience working in a pharmacy. You may be a pharmacist. You do not have to be a pharmacist to take advantage of this opportunity. But I also want to open it up to Q&A. So I want to be able to answer as many questions as I can, just to provide you with some guidance and instruction if you're interested and you want to know how you can move forward. Hey, Dr. Cleveland, so happy that you are here and you're able to join me. These are lives I've wanted to do for some time, but my schedule got crazy. But now I want to share these opportunities with you because time is of the essence, and there are a lot of pharmacies who are losing not only funding, but they're going out of business. So if you are on my email list, I sent an email Monday about independent pharmacies who were really being bogged down with the administrative task of going through audits by PMBs. And just to give you some background information about myself, I don't think I introduced myself. My name is Elle. I am a healthcare consultant with a background in nursing leadership. And I have my own consulting firm here in Houston, Texas, but we have clientele all over the US. We focus on service recovery, anything to do with patient satisfaction, retaining retention, maintaining the reputation of the organization. So I am not a pharmacy compliance consultant. However, I can provide you with resources to start your firm if you're interested, and just to give you enough information to get started, see the opportunity, and move forward. So as I mentioned on Monday, I sent out an email about pharmacy compliance needs in independent pharmacies. And at the end of the day, they've been bogged down with so many administrative tasks that pull them away from their everyday workload. And I'm not sure if you all know, but an additional task due to the pandemic that's been just thrusted upon pharmacies is they're also now providing COVID vaccines, and there's record keeping and all kind of tasks that they have to now do on top of their previous workload. So they were already bogged down. But if you're not familiar with PMBs, this was a new concept to me too. But the more I dug into it, I was like, oh my gosh, these pharmacies need to be supported. But PMBs are pharmacy benefit managers. And so when these independent pharmacies go into business, they sign contracts with insurance companies, right? They want to be able to supply medications to those who are insured by the insurance companies. But at the end of the day, due to the pandemic, the auditing process has changed. The auditing process has gotten even more stringent on them. And so when these PMBs, these pharmacy benefit managers, go into the pharmacies to do their audit, again, everything's virtual, they have been they haven't been passing the audits like they need to. So many independent pharmacies have been complaining that these PMB managers are just overloading them with too much work, too much administrative tasks at the end of the day. So they've been losing a lot of money. The prescriptions that they've sent out are not being they're not being processed correctly by the insurance company, so they're not getting paid for the prescriptions that they're sending out. So it's created this vicious cycle of, again, them being burdened, them being needed to be supported. And so that's just one area in which they need to be supported. That's just one area. the more I look deeper into this, I was like, oh my gosh, they are just drowning. So I kind of wanted to give you a list of all the things that you yourself, if you have experience and you're interested in pharmacy compliance consulting, I wanted to give you some background information on all of the regulating agencies and all the things that have to be put in place, so you know exactly what it would look like for you to create a compliance program for a pharmacy. Okay, so if you don't already have your notes out, take out your notes, because there are a lot of things that pharmacies have to have in place to stay in business. They're heavily regulated. Okay, so let me go through this list. Like I mentioned to you, take some notes if you're interested, because this is a lot. So, number one, when for pharmacies to maintain their compliance, they have to have in place a prescription drug ordering program. Okay, and that's regulated by the DEA. There's a particular form that they have to complete, and if that form is not written or submitted the way it needs to be submitted with all the information and signatures and documentation, they will get flagged by the DEA. Okay, so any pharmacy compliance program would need to have that. So you need policies and procedures and someone to look at your prescription drug ordering process. Okay, there's also a huge compliance factor as it relates to the Drug Supply Chain Security Act. Okay, that needs to be a part of your compliance program. There's also a prescription drug inventory management system that has to be in place. There also needs to be compliance around electronic prescriptions. This is something that also the PMBs look at in great detail. There also needs to be a prescription drug security compliance in place for fraud, a transfer and disposal compliance system in place, a dispensing and diversion control system. There needs to be a proper coding compliance program in place. This is already a lot. So can you imagine running your own pharmacy by yourself? You may or may not have an administrator. This is a lot. Also, establishing medical necessity. This kind of goes back to billing compliance. So that needs to be in place. We've already talked a little bit about the pharmacy benefit managers. They have their own checklist of things that they look at to make sure that the pharmacies are compliant with insurance companies and what they need. There's also a third-party service provider monitoring. So this really kind of dives deep into them being HIPAA compliant. There's also compliance needs around CBD. So as we know, that's something that's new and emerging, but they're being regulated also for that. Specialty and compound compliance, written policies and procedures for all of these things. And also there's pharmacist and technician training that has to be documented. So as I mentioned to you, I have a nursing background. Many of you know, as healthcare providers and clinicians, whether you are employed or if you are employed somewhere, typically every quarter or at least biannually, you have to have some type of training. That information has to be documented somewhere because it is a part of the auditing process. There's pharmacy record keeping and additional investigation and preparedness. So there's really a lot. There's a huge need. And as I always say, when you're looking into going into independent consulting for yourself, you want to make sure that you go into a area of consulting in which there are a lot of problems, because the more problems that are costly and it's burdened by administrators, practice owners, you want to be able to step in as the expert and provide them with resources. So all of the things that I listed out were just a few of the compliance standards that are in place, because these regulating bodies of healthcare are essentially saying you need this to continue to practice. And so wherever you see a list of challenges such as this, you definitely want to move forward if you have the experience to back it and the expertise. Should there also be a focus on telemed from Quinn? Absolutely. So I'm glad you brought that up, Quinn, because not only do you have all of these, it's essentially a compliance checklist, okay? But now you have telemedicine, or actually, I think it's called telepharmacy regulations. That's a whole nother set of things that pharmacies have to have in place also. So if you have that experience and you want to say, okay, well, I'm going to help these independent pharmacies, but I'm going to focus solely on telepharmacy best practices and compliance standards, and that's something you can do as well. So you can niche it down even more to where you can specialize in that. Does that make sense? Yeah, I just wanted to dive deeper into the topic because there were so many people that reached out to me interested in just learning a little bit more. And I would, I'm going to be transparent with you guys always and let you know if this is a profitable niche to move forward in, or if it's going to be a niche where you'd be chasing leaders. We don't want to chase leaders when it comes to business, especially if we're trying to convert these leads into clients. But this particular niche I see as being extremely profitable for independent consultant. As I mentioned, in one of the messages that I sent out, there are over 22,500 independent pharmacies. There's not a lack of opportunity in business for you as a healthcare consultant, but there is a lack of pharmacy compliance consultants who can step up and help these independent pharmacies. Now, I've kind of gone through a whole list of what they have to comply with and what a compliance program would look like. And that's only scratching the surface. That's only scratching the surface. So any questions? I want to open it up for some Q&A. Thanks for joining on YouTube. Happy that you're here. Any questions that I can answer about pharmacy compliance consulting? I know someone reached out to me via email and asked a little bit about some marketing too. When it comes down to marketing, the best form of marketing for us as business consultants in healthcare is really based on relationships. So I would suggest all of you, everyone should be building relationships with decision makers and leaders of all of these healthcare facilities, whether it's hospitals, community hospitals, long-term care facilities, independent pharmacies, imaging centers. All of these organizations in healthcare are heavily regulated. They all need to be supported in some capacity, but pharmacies, as we know, are extremely regulated. So for that reason, it just presents a great opportunity for us to be able to step in and say, hey, I have the resources to support you and I can take this workload off of you. And I feel like that's really the great opportunity for you to be able to support these pharmacies, is to say, you know what, you may not be able to afford a full-time administrator. No problem. I can at least come in and support you in the capacity to where I can prepare you for any auditing, make sure all your documentation is in place. So not only do I see this as a lucrative opportunity, I see it as extremely lucrative because now you can offer implementation support and also retainers, being able to say, I'm going to come in, I'm going to support your pharmacy and provide you with resources and support and prepare you for surveys, but I'm also going to come in every month or even every quarter just to make sure all the records are together, so we know we don't have to be scrambling when it's time to prepare for a survey. So even, implementation support is going to be extremely lucrative deliverable for you. And also placing these pharmacies on a retainer is going to make sure you have some recurrent income as a consultant. So I'm excited about this. Good afternoon. This is from Diverse Sunflower. Thanks for joining us on YouTube. Good afternoon. Is there a workbook to get the literature to assist with getting into this niche so we can present in this area? Yeah, Diverse Sunflower. I have, excuse me. I have so many resources. So go over to, if you're interested in starting a healthcare consulting business. Now, that's something I will say. I am an advocate for healthcare professionals to go into business as healthcare consultants, whether you're doing it full-time or whether you're doing it part-time. So the resources that I have available for you are for those who are interested in starting a business. But you can go to the healthcareconsultantnetwork.com and check out all of the resources I have there. We just released 7 workbooks all together, just kind of going through setting up your business plan, client management, like all of those things are available on the website. So definitely check it out. Also, I wish I had the link available. I don't. I wasn't prepared to drop the link, but I'll go back and add it on YouTube. But we are modifying all of our courses for 2022, and those should be released soon. So if you're interested in even taking the courses, which would provide you with a mentorship as well, I'll drop that link. I'll come back after the stream is broadcast and I'll drop the link below. Okay. Let's see. Steven says, where do you gain this experience and knowledge to provide those resources? Steven, I'm not sure if you know or not, but I'm also a healthcare consultant. I have a nursing background and nursing leadership. And so I have my own consulting firm. So I'm not just someone who comes on and says, hey, take advantage of this opportunity. I have my own consulting business. And something that you should do is, reach out to those who own pharmacies, ask them what their needs are. Stephen, I'm not sure what your role is, but at the end of the day, if you are a healthcare professional, you've always been consulting. I tell that during my masterclass all the time. If you're solving problems on the job, if you're giving advice on the job, if you are a resource person, you're an advisor. Consultants are advisors. And so that's essentially how I got my start. But then I started to partner with organizations to provide resources and expertise in that capacity. So hopefully that answers your question, Stephen. Tamika's, hey, Tamika's. Will this live session be safe for later? Yes, it's on the YouTube channel. So all of the lives, I think I'm going to stick to doing these every week, but you can check it out later to go back and kind of go through all of what I listed. The email that I sent out was just, again, scratching the surface. But again, I went a little bit deeper into, how you can at least start a pharmacy compliance program and just kind of going over some of the things that are regulated by pharmacies. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, no problem. Any additional questions? I just wanted to jump on and share some resources and just say, hey, this is a great opportunity. I think I have a friend who owns a pharmacy, but they're in my warm network on LinkedIn. I think I'm going to reach out to some of the pharmacy consultants in my warm network and probably feature one of them, because I think I want to bring on a pharmacy consultant in my subcontracting group. Hey, how are you doing? How can we request that email from Monday? Kelly, if you want to jump on my email list, what you can do is, let me drop the link to, hold on. I don't actually have a link to my email list, but every month I do a live masterclass about healthcare consulting. And so that would probably be a good entry point into really understanding what overall consulting looks like. And that would automatically place you on my email list, where you can get some updates on opportunities in consulting. But let me give you the link to the masterclass that we do once a month. That way you can join the email list and just be in the know. The next masterclass we have is on March the 3rd. So also, for those of you who've never heard of consulting before and you want to learn a little bit more about, okay, Elle, how can I take my experience? I may not have ever worked in a pharmacy, but how can I take my experience and translate that into a consulting business? Then I absolutely would tell you to join the masterclass. I really break it down on how you get started, from taking your experience, really finding a niche in the facilities that you could potentially partner with, and then how you can just kind of build out your business from there. So I only do those once a month live because my schedule is so jam-packed, but join, okay? Hopefully that helps, Kelly. Okay, well, I hope you guys have an amazing day, and I look forward to seeing you in our next upcoming masterclass on March the 3rd. And if you have any questions, if you're watching on YouTube, and if there's something you still want to know, especially about this niche, feel free to drop your comments in the comments section even after this broadcast. That way I can get back to you and just provide you with some resources. Okay? Everyone have an amazing day. I'm going to get back to work. Take care. Bye now.